Hi, my name is Helen Fields. I'm delighted to have been invited by Lindsay onto the Reading Between the Lines vlog, and today I'm going to be reading to you from Perfect Kill, which is book 6 in the DI Callanach series set in Edinburgh. I'm going to be reading from chapter 1. It was the stench that woke him. Something acrid with a heavy undertone of sulphur had filled his sinuses and was threatening to make him gag. Mum? His first thought was that she must be ill, that she'd gone down with food poisoning or a virus overnight and been too embarrassed or too thoughtful to have disturbed him. Only he couldn't remember getting home. And now that he registered the pain in his body, Bart realised he wasn't in his bed, or any bed at all. He sat bolt upright, head swimming, before collapsing back down to the floor. Everything was dark. Not the dark of Scottish nights away from the city, camping by a loch. Not even the dark of the private rooms at the back of the nightclub he occasionally attended with his friends. True dark. Not one star. No bloom of pollution, no crack or spill from beneath the door or the edge of a blind. "Hello?" Bart shouted, braving movement again, sitting up more slowly. That was when he felt a tugging on his leg. He froze. Something held at his ankle. He breathed hard twice, 3 times, tried to get to grips with the fear, then he lost it. "Get off me," he yelled, wrenching his foot upwards, trying to scrabble away. He hit a wall with his head, shortly before his foot locked solid and his hip popped from its socket. The scream he let out was loud enough to wake the entire terrace where he lived. He rolled right, instinct kicking in, and the displaced hip shifted again back into the socket, easing the dreadful pain and allowing him to lean forward to take hold of whatever had his foot. He didn't want to extend his hand. There was something about reaching his fingers out into the black void that seemed to be inviting a bite, like slipping your hand into a murky river, in the sort of place where, when animals attacked, the general reaction to the news was, what the hell did the idiot tourist expect? What Bart found was both less and more terrifying. His ankle was bound by a leather strap. There was no bogeyman occupying the darkness with him, not one that had hold of his leg, anyway. The strap was thick and sturdy, with a chunky metal link sewn through it. At the end of that, he realised miserably, was a chain. What was at the end of the chain, Bart wasn't sure he was ready to discover yet. So he did what all cautious people would do in a foul, pitch-black room, finding themselves inexplicably chained up. He began calling out for help. His cries went in an arc. He called for help, stopped, listened, called out again, this time louder, stopped, listened. Bart could feel the rumbling below the floor more readily than he could hear the engine, but an engine it unmistakably was. He put his hand down flat. The surface was rough but not cold, neither wood nor metal, more like the sort of industrial liner that was used to insulate modern houses. He'd seen it being carried in huge sheets into Edinburgh's ever-growing new housing estates. Perhaps he was in a factory then, in a room high above the machinery. That made sense. The low-level growl of metal and the lack of sharp sounds from the outside world. He pressed himself closer to the wall and began yelling afresh. "Hello? Anyone? Can anyone hear me? Help! I need help!" His cries got louder, his voice higher. He banged on the wall first, then the floor between phrases, punctuating his cries for assistance. His cries became his screams. Bart had never heard himself scream before. It was terrifying. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.